What's up, everyone? What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Self Mastery Labs. This is a channel where I free flow here in a way, go through, I'm calling this a lecture series. The purpose is for me to keep refining the path, a system, a structure to self-mastery. I've come up with 6 steps, 6 pillars or cogs, if you will, in the journey to self-mastery. 1, what do you believe in? Spending time with this, quite a bit of time. I've already spent a few weeks on this, refining it, keep going over it. What is your why? Number 2, what is your why, your purpose? What's your purpose? Finding something that really motivates you. It's got to tie into what you believe in. Number 3, what do you want in your life? This is the time where you go over everything that you want, what exactly you want that you do on a day-to-day basis, relationships, money, family, business, etc. What do you want in your life? You list it all out, all of it, everything you can possibly think of. What character traits do you use as you go is number 4. Number 4, what character traits do you use as you go? Super important. It's got to tie into what do you want. How are you going to use, what kind of person are you going to be as you pursue what you want? It should also tie into number 2, what's your why and your purpose, and number 1, what you believe in. Your character traits should link to all those. Number 5, what emotions do you want to wield, feel, and spread as you go? So what kind of emotions are you feeling when you do these things, when you take these actions, when you live this life, when you go down these paths? What does it bring up for you? What kind of person, what do you feel like? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling good most of the time? I mean, you're going to have different emotions, but to be conscious and aware of it, to choose the emotions that you want to use most of the time, and that should tie into everything above, into your character, into your wants, your goals, into your why, your purpose, and into your bigger picture belief. This is super important. You're understanding your emotions, something I think people don't talk about a lot. People often say use discipline and don't worry about how you feel, but I think if you structure something that's right, a system, a path that's really right for you, it should feel good most of the time, and you're going to choose. You're also going to be cognizant of what kind of feelings you're spreading and what kind of people you're around that are giving you certain feelings and emotions. Number 6, lastly, what systems, rules, habits, actions will you consistently take day in and day out to achieve the above? So this is just writing out and designing achievable systems for all the things that you want in your life, and then taking action on them every day. So these are the 6 pillars and that I've come up with right now. This will evolve itself. I've got a whole journal dedicated to just self-mastery that is evolving. And so once I go down this path for a while, I'm gonna see how it's working and possibly evolve and change it. I'll keep updating here in this free-flowing lecture series and let you know how it's going. Today, in that process, I am at character traits. So I want to just dive a little deeper into character traits here as an example of how this work could go when you get there. So when you're designing your character traits, I just first came up with a list. I've got about 30 right now. Purpose, adaptability, strength, intelligence, humor, positivity, energy, integrity, curiosity, wonder, resilience, grit, compassion, dependability, fun, humility, kindness, discipline, courage, bravery, patience, creativity, dynamic, team player, outside the box thinker, honorable, fair, true, just, balanced, happy, joyous, and lastly, I just put good. So let's dive into some of these. Well, first of all, the system that I'm going to build for myself is because I'm at a stage where I'm just curious about like seeing how far I can take this. Like, how can I really choose what I want to be as best I can without dropping anything else? Because it's hard to spend the time on this, right? I don't think many people do, for sure. You know? But imagine if you built a system where you actually can choose the character that you want to try to be, the character traits that are important to you, whether you are or not. I can definitely tell you there are character traits that are important to me. They're really important to me that I don't think someone would define me as. You know, or I don't think if I looked at it hard enough, I could even, you know, with a straight face, like say, yeah, that's you. I think those are mismatched sometimes. So I think it's just important to examine and hold yourself accountable and try. But imagine building a system where you got a journal and you got a checklist and you have time carved out in your day. Organized is a character trait that I would love to embody. Organized. Like, that's also a want of mine. That's a goal, to be highly organized in my life. But I think it's a character trait as well. There's some people that you could define as organized. And I think, just to branch off for a second here, these character traits are not all just about like moral traits. I think they're ways of being, they're traits in general. So I think you can use anything that's useful for you. At least that's where I'm at now. And maybe there will be a point where if it's easy and efficient and useful, I can branch off and be like, okay, here are the traits, the character traits that I want to embody. I'm going to look at them, remind myself of them, pair them with, you know, what I'm doing in a day quickly. I should be able to scan this and be like, you know, at the end of the day or the beginning of in the morning before anyone gets up, you know, am I going, all right, how was I yesterday with integrity? And be honest about that. If I can quickly go through that, or just even reminding myself, hey, that's the character that I want. So then when I'm faced with things, maybe it'll help me make decisions quickly, because I know who I am. I know who I want to be. It's not up in the air. I've chosen this. Not only have I chosen it, I've written it down. I've taken the time. I've talked about it. I've put myself on a fucking camera and been like, here's some examples. This is what I want. Choose whatever the fuck you want. You know, definitely choose it. I mean, that's part of the fun of creating. You know, maybe get ideas, but choose your own thing, whatever it is. And, but I mean, imagine if you had that in your tool bag as a thing that you just go through during the day, and you refine it and you refine it and you refine it over years. You build the character traits instead of just letting them be, you know, however you come upon life and whatever hits you, and just try to figure it out as you go. And that's, I think, what most of us do. this is not that. This is self-mastery. So I'm trying to find ways that are actually sustainable and long-term. So with that, yeah, I think for now there can be broad character traits, like it can be something like organized in general. I want to be organized. I want that to be part of my character, is that I'm organized in the way that I think about things and do things, and maybe the way that I live my life. That can live in the same list as compassionate. That's or something like fair, because those are very different. One is sort of defines like the way that I process, and one is more tied to maybe morals. But I think that's okay for now. We may break them out later. Possibly, maybe it'll be something like character traits. Here are the top 10. Here's the top 10 moral traits that I want. Here's the top 10. Because you can be good and moral, and you can fight for that, and find it and explore it and continue to have that be a part of your ethos. And you can also be extremely disorganized, so maybe we'll branch out some categories later, but for now, let's go through some of these. Purpose. I find this one I found was in my, what I came to with like as being very important in my like belief system, to seek purpose, or to find purpose, or to create purpose. I think these are all things to toil with regularly, but when you have purpose, you can be driven. The stronger your purpose, it's clear that's going to be a big engine. If that can be sought and found, I don't even know what that feels like. I'm sure maybe some of you do, when you feel like you got purpose. I mean, I've had moments of things that, little things, that I may be pursuing, even like sports, maybe that don't have a huge, bigger picture meaning, but like that where I felt very determined. But I think having a purpose, like having that as part of your character traits, like imagine if you know someone and you're just like, that person has purpose. That person knows themselves, has decided, has chosen based off of their observations and their experiences in life, and they're purposeful. That's, with character traits, how I want to use purpose, and I want to be defined that way, as like someone who's purposeful, or that walks with purpose, that lives with purpose, interacts with purpose. Adaptability. You hear about adaptability like all the time in just survival of the species. They say like the species that survive on planet Earth are the ones that are able to adapt the fastest. I think adaptability is crucial, and I'd like that to be part of my character traits. That I can adapt to situations. I can change. I can assess, and I can use all these things that I've built up, that I that I've created about how to live, and that I've chosen in the best way that I could, and then I'd like to be able to adapt and change based on what I observe. And I think that if you can see that things are changing on a large scale and that you need to adapt within that, and you're able to easily, maybe not easily, but you're able to, I think that is probably one of the most valuable character traits. Totally adaptable. And then maintaining all these other things, right? If you can adapt and maintain your happiness, your ability to feel joy, and all the good stuff, like if you can adapt and have all that, that's amazing. Strength, character trait of strength. For me, I value this a lot because I think I grew up with it. My father, I just enjoyed the way my father valued strength, and both physical, athletic, as well as mental. Willpower. He was always talking about willpower and displaying it, and recognizing it in me and loving it in me when he saw it. I just love that, man. Strength may be mine, like just out of like love for it, like the idea of strength, true strength, the search for it. I love finding this stuff because I feel, it ties me to feelings, when they pop out. I just need to mark that. Maybe that'll happen for you too, where you go through these lists and you don't even realize, like, fuck, how powerful the feeling may be. And it's not that my logical brain can't look at that and go, well, strength is like not necessarily the most useful of character traits. Maybe it's definitely up there for sure. It ties into, it's connected to a lot of other traits, but but so that doesn't matter. But it's what resonates with you, and for sure with me, this idea of strength and deep strength and like maybe even spiritual strength, like deep strength, is like something that I'm fascinated by. I don't really know if I am strong. I thought that I was. I've had moments where I've been, felt very beaten in my life, but I've always tried to come back and grow and push and achieve and contribute. And but it is something that when I think of the idea of it is on a deeper level. Excuse me. Of like pushing for strength or trying to build that, or the idea of just being strong is especially deep down, especially if you are completely vulnerable. And so strength for me is almost spiritual in a way. I mean, it definitely, I think, tied to my father, maybe, and my mother on my mother's side, and her history and her family. Like, just this idea of being strong, being a strong individual, more than anything coming from the inside, is that like your strength comes from inside. Like when you say someone is strong, their real strength comes from inside. And to me, it ties to all my values of, and without even having examined it a lot previously, it's like that idea for me is that when you take everything away, when you zip yourself down, you shed yourself down through all the layers, what is the core, deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and how strong is, and where is that strength? And I love that idea. I'm harping on this now, but I can just, it's come up in me. It's like I love that idea of just the indomitable spirit, the strong spirit, and that should go outward eventually, with all these outside things in your life, your relationships, your family, so strength. Strength for me is huge, and I'm looking forward to exploring that idea more, and why, and understanding why, and then choosing it, even if it, like I said before, even if it is sort of like, there are parts of it that are I don't know, maybe superficial, but maybe not. It's worth examining, because again, that's strong to do, right? Because it makes it like, if I'm truly strong, there's nothing I can't look at. There's nothing I can't really face. I have to be strong in order to face things. So that seems to be super important to me. All right, intelligence. I just want to be characterized as intelligent, and I can do something about that. So, I definitely have always been introspective or philosophical. I've been intelligent especially with people, and social skills, interpersonal skills. I have not always been intelligent, with school, and like that side of things. There are different forms of intelligence, and but I would like that, and there's something I can do about it. I would like to optimize my thinking, my communicating, my efficiency with thought processes, if I can, my ability to learn and absorb and retain information. I'd like to find ways to improve that, just like you would improve physically. And so there's a lot I can do about that. I think it's super useful. Next one, humor. Humor is like, I'd like to be characterized as one with humor, I just think it is such a good tool for, survival and perspective and connection with other people and with yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's like a release valve. If things get hard or impossible feeling, and you feel there's no way, well, humor is a way that you can at least pull that release valve and recalibrate. And again, in the end, if it is that there's very little true, like if the meaning is not what you think the meaning is in the end, at the end of the day, at the end of this ride, the meaning is not what you think it is, to be able to laugh at it still, to be able to smile still, to be able to feel that fun, to feel it all, but to feel that is, to feel that humor would be great. So that's a huge one for me. Positivity, positive. I think positivity is so useful and powerful, and I think you certainly need to know when to use it. As a character trait, I'd love to be defined as positive, and I most definitely am already. That's one where I don't have to, I'm automatically going to default to that. There's some that I'm going to need a lot more work on, but positivity is like just it can build momentum because you know, if you're pushing for something, this, you know, continuing down this path, very, you know, what I'm endeavoring here with this system, you know, a self-mastery system, a system that enables one at any age, a map, a system to change. If you follow it, if I can continue doing this and not stop, keep showing up, and continue to refine this, I'm certain that I can provide at the very least one person, myself, with a map that can help me change for the better, permanently, in the way that I want, in the way that I've chosen, and possibly get to a level of self-mastery that very few people get to. That's what I'm going for. It's just, that's what it is. I'm doing it for genuine reasons, you know. I'm like, I really want to go for it. I want to understand as a human, like, what's it like to master yourself as much as you can, and continue that process until my last day. And so to do that, I need positivity. I need to feel positive. I need to keep building momentum. I need to keep showing up. And positive encouragement that hits me as I'm going through is only going to help me keep showing up. Right now, it's self-generated because I don't have anyone that I'm showing this channel to yet, you know, that I'm sharing this with yet. The only potential for that is whoever's out there on the other side of this camera. And that right now is, so how do I keep going? Why would I keep going? Why do I keep belief, you know, and that might be a character trait, believer, confident is definitely a big one, but yeah, positivity, I need to self-generate now, and it's crucial to remain positive. I can't see many downsides to the character trait of positivity. I mean, negativity has a lot of downsides. How would positivity have downsides? In certain situations, it could, maybe, you know, but you know, you know, maybe a situation where you may want to take your foot off the gas in a certain situation, you know. But I think that if you have a system like what I'm trying to build here that encompasses so many things, like what do you believe in, what's your purpose, your why, what do you want, what are the most important things that you want, you know, what are your goals, prioritizing those, understanding them deeply, making a character trait list, understanding how your emotions are involved in all of it, and how you affect other people's feelings and emotions through all of it, and then the actions that you take on a day-to-day basis. Somebody that's building a system like that, I think any of the downsides of they're going to recognize in other areas, they're going to have other character traits that are going to protect them against any of the downsides of positivity, or too much positivity on certain things. But positivity to keep going and to encourage others, powerful, powerful tool, especially with others. Giving people the positive reinforcement they need to keep going. How fucking awesome would it be to see someone pursuing something and try to help them, and just with one word of positivity. Hell yeah, I want that. I want to be defined with that. Energy. High energy. Energized. This is awesome. I feel like today is an example of where I've had a lot, and a lot of these days I felt low, the feeling of the wheels slowing, the momentum slowing. Part of what I'm doing in my self-mastery journey is getting up 5 to 5:30 every single day. I'll start making that earlier if I can. Getting to bed early is really difficult in my household because I want to be there for my kids when they go to bed. I want to be interacting and involved in the household. I love it, especially that, hour or so before everybody, goes down. It's just so it's harder to get to bed earlier than 10 o'clock. But if I go to bed at 10 and wake up at 5, that's only 7 hours. I'm really good at 7.5, 8. I'm perfect right there. So I can be fine at 7, but after day of 7 hours, maybe some of the days 6.5, I can feel it, and the energy, right? How do you feel that energy? Well, I'm on here now. Right before I pushed record, I was definitely thinking to myself, feeling I don't know if I should do that. I just feel moving the ball forward may be difficult. And I got a lot of stuff on my list. I've done a lot already too. I've done a shit ton of stuff. For my business, for personal stuff, for physical stuff, for home, I've done a lot, and I'm tired already. And I have a podcast to shoot later. And I've got more business, more work to do. So so how do I get that energy going? Well, this builds on itself. The feeling that I'm getting as I go, and I'm this is legit. I go through these things and I'm this is worth the time. And then I start to get excited, and I'm oh wow, it's the carrot. It really is it's a real carrot, it's so as you go, what kind of carrots fuel you and what's cool about that gave me some energy in a time right now where I'm actually, my body battery isn't super energized, but how do I self-generate it? Sorry, I'm super thirsty. How do I self-generate that energy? Well, it's if I start getting good at the positive things that I'm doing and learning and building in myself, and that actually gives me energy and keeps me fueling and pushing through, well, that's where I want to be. And my character trait of being energized is something that when I have awareness of that, I'm going to start looking for more and more things that energize me. And I'm going to be, and my trait later that I'll get into, true, I just put true. Am I true? Am I being true with this? Am I seeking truth with this? Well, if that's part of my character too, then I'm going to need to be as honest as I can be with myself about, am I energized? Am I bringing energy? True energy. Am I finding it? So it all ties in, but being energized is something having energy, being defined that way as having a lot of energy, is how I want my character to be part of my character traits. And again, that reminds me of also, like, maybe that's a different branch of character traits, because that's like a physical characterization and not really like a moral character trait. But let's go on. Integrity. Integrity of just really feeling how do I take on every situation with integrity, and I think that ties into so many things in so many different ways. But even just now, like, look, if I can approach this with integrity, I have to take a sip of water. Well, I'm going to try to do that quickly because I don't want to hold things up if I can, right? So that pushes me to work with integrity. That's probably a bad example, but being truthful, and looking at all these things, like, why is integrity valuable, and why would I choose integrity truthfully? Like, not for anybody else, for me, right? Like, not to be thought of as anything, like, for me. Well, that's part of integrity, is like, no, I gotta really cut this down. Is that really what I want? I gotta really get down to it. Because, like, I don't know, if you asked, like, some super successful people, businessmen, politicians, people that are up there with their in the world, movers and shakers, make the decisions on things, make things happen, influence the most people. Are they, maybe they talk about integrity as important. Do they actually live with integrity when no one's looking or when no one's judging? Who knows? But to ask yourself, what is important to you at the end of the day? What are you gonna be happy with on your deathbed? I think this is one where, as I think about it, like I just said that, when I just said that, how are you gonna feel on your deathbed about your integrity? I get a little bit of goosebumps with that, and it's like, I think there's something that inspires a lot of us about true integrity, and it's not some high horse thing. It's something that is deep, and it carries some kind of energy to it that's really up there with the big feelings. We all, I think, can connect to that. You have to be above yourself. You have to be beyond yourself to choose to really choose integrity. And I don't think it's easy. I think we're all faced with shit in our lives on probably daily basis that challenges our integrity, and we don't even see it, and we don't even know it. I'm not talking about, like, being a goody two-shoes in, like, every moment, and, like, talking about something a little deeper than that. It just involves, like, some truth, some real integrity. Whether that's just you with you, knowing it and understanding it, connecting with it, and by extension connecting with something larger on that front. There are many levels to integrity for me. I'm just writing that down. Many levels, and on the surface levels, I do think the value can be very much, business relationships, trust building, personal relationships, commitments, personal growth, the personal relationship you have with yourself, the integrity that you bring to the things you say you're going to do. And I think there's a lot of positive stuff. I think with integrity, there's something deeper that I'm going to look at, kind of that connects in a deeper way. So that's a cool one. I'm gonna star that. Strength is another one of those. Curiosity, wonder. This is like just being curious about the world. The wonder, I don't know if curiosity and wonder live together or separately right now, but so I think they're two different things. I mean, curiosity is just the desire to know, and I think that's super valuable, a genuine and enjoyable, to genuinely be curious about things and to live in that. And I think the value is, if you're curious about somebody and you're asking them questions and you're trying to find out about them and you're curious in a genuine way, they're probably gonna love you, and that's gonna help that relationship, because you're giving them that attention and you're genuinely wanting to know about them. I think it can help you if you're trying to learn something, you're genuinely curious about something. It makes the effort, it makes putting in the effort easy, that you need to learn it because you're curious. I'm curious to see what happens to a human, me, when I relentlessly pursue self-mastery, and I can finally chip away at it every day and go hard at it and really try to get the reins. I'm really curious about that. Like, what happens? Like, does everything you've ever wanted come true after you do that for a couple of years? If I'm still here in a couple of years, talking to a camera and having done a whole bunch of other stuff, if I'm still here in 2 or 3 years, what will have come of that? If I've still put in this work, I put in a lot of work that I think a lot of people just do not feel like they have the time to spend, or they can't carve out the time. Wonder is, I think, slightly separate, but it ties into curiosity, but super valuable. Wonder is sort of like this feeling of awe and wonder and at the magnificence of things, or the vastness of things. I think it can fuel, it can also give a lot of energy and good feelings. So, very useful. I have resilience here and grit right after it. And that might be one thing, because I know the definition of grit includes resilience. But I think it's more, the grit is more than that. But resilience is completely necessary for achievement, because you're gonna come up against huge obstacles. And you're going to get resistance, and maybe more than that, you're possibly going to get dealt blows as you pursue. And having resilience is, being able to maintain all your core stuff, all this stuff we're building, and have it all maintained, the structure of it maintained, or the seeds of it maintained. If it gets dealt blows, who knows how hard and strong, and to have that resilience to maybe try to adapt or try to regrow or whatever's necessary is huge. Grit, I think, is like when you're in pursuit, when you're going after your goals, it's like it has resilience in there, but it is also like got mixture of hunger, drive, doggedness, intensity. I really like grit. I'm gonna star grit. I just think, grit is outside the box thinking too. It's, those that are gritty they're a different breed. They're able to break out of norms. They don't necessarily follow the herd. They can, but someone with great grit can persist and persevere through a lot. I'm gonna just make a note for myself, dig into this one. I'm gonna dig into grit further, because I think that would be, right now, like, some of my biggest are strength, integrity, grit. Strength, integrity, grit. I mean, I definitely feel like finding purpose is huge. It doesn't resonate with me. It's more of a logical thing for, like, finding purpose or living with purpose is more of like something that I can logically think that's something that would be necessary or fueling or something, so to pursue that is logical, but I don't have a feeling connected to it. I have a huge feeling connected to strength. I have a huge feeling connected to integrity. I have a huge feeling connected to grit. Adaptability, I kind of connect to that as well, but for me that kind of falls into grit too. Like, if you're gritty, if you've got grit, you will adapt. Let's go on. Compassionate. This one. I kind of have a feeling associated with this one too. It ties for me to strength. It really does, man. It's like compassion requires like real strength. Real strength. I don't know if there's any way around that. I think that as humans, it's so easy to be tempted and to fall into social norms and be tempted by everything, ease and and I think that like it's so hard to be truly compassionate especially if it's not easy for you to be. If it's very inconvenient and it's maybe annoying or maybe whatever. Like, on both sides, right? Like, let's say you have nothing and you've got nothing, you've not challenged yourself much in your life, and you are like, then compassion isn't easy then for you either. It's hard to show compassion in that. Even if you're showing compassion or giving, is it real? Real compassion, like really putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, especially if they're feeling pain, is challenging. Or, it's easy when you're not risking anything. It's easier. I just think it's probably one of the ones that is, to be truly compassionate. There are different levels to it for sure. I think it's useful to just be a little bit compassionate. To be deeply compassionate and to be compassionate on a large scale, it would be very challenging and in our society hard. But I think that to have it as a character trait that you're working on day in and day out, or that I'm working on day in and day out, I think, like, for me it is, it allows me to cooperate, and it'll allow me to listen more than maybe I speak. I think it's tied to humility and some other things. But compassion, I think, is also like, I think it's such a necessary trait because it involves like lack of judgment and maybe forgiveness. And I think right now we live in a world where we're conditioning ourselves through this like new thing that we have, which is social media. That's like, where we can comment on things, where we can feel like we're not connected to it, or that there aren't actual real people. I just think we can be really not compassionate towards each other, in a way that almost dehumanizes. I think we can the opposite of it is dehumanizing, and I think that's extremely dangerous. So I think that compassion is super important for. You always think. With religion, it's one of the main traits, right, of any God is compassion, and I think that. That's necessary for long-term success, to be understanding of each other and encouraging each other, and understanding that every situation is different. So I want to use that kind of heavily in my life, compassion, and that'll help me. That'll feed. I don't really ever want to be that person that judges anything or any person or anything really too harshly, because who am I? That ties into humility. I also, I want to learn how to be gentler with myself. I can find times that it's appropriate to be hard on myself, and find times to be, where it's more useful, more effective, more productive to be compassionate with myself. All right, let's go on. Dependable. Love to, have this as a character trait. It's be like, man, you can count on this guy. When he says he's going to do something, he does it. I'm currently dependable on a large scale. Like, the larger the scale, the more dependable I am. Definitely, like, people that have worked for me know that, like, if I say, hey, I'll get you here, whatever, financially, if you want to make this much, like, I'll get you here in 3 years, 4 years, then I'm in a larger scale. I'm gonna succeed, or whatever. Like, I'm there for the big things. The big things is like, I'm always there. I'm dependable. I'm like, you need me on a large scale, and I'm there for you. Big life things. Not so much the smaller things. I feel like, and I want to improve this, so I want to work on this dependability, like smaller things, like, even meetings. But this ties into, some executive functioning things that I need to improve, that I'm trying to master. And this whole self-mastery thing is like, organization, planning, and scheduling is really difficult for me. I'm better at figuring things out on a closer level, couple days. I'm getting better and better at that, but that's, if I were to schedule something with you in a week or 2 weeks, and had I had the foresight, I should have been able to see that the priority of that can't do that, and I'm like, you have to change it, so that kind of thing, dependability wise, is like, okay, well, if you set up a meeting with me for 2 weeks from now, am I going to commit to it? Well, it depends. Maybe yes, maybe no. Or am I going to end up changing it or not? And I want to change that. I want to be more dependable. I think it's a super useful tool without really many downsides. I think there can be some. It's like you got to know when you do have to shift some things, and really maybe you have an opportunity. You just have to be able to think dynamically. If you're so rigid that you're like, and maybe it's why this is so important, like, because maybe you decide that dependability is more important, and integrity and following what you say you do, and that's more important than anything, more important than any of your goals or ever reaching them. If that's more important than anything, then let's say you have a once in a lifetime opportunity that comes up, and at that same time that you schedule something, are you gonna go to that thing and not take advantage of this opportunity you may never get again? That is something you're gonna have to, you gotta figure out. But that's why going through all this it informs you. The answer should be clear after all of it. And when things like that come up, because for me, when will I know it'll kick in for me. Well, dynamic thinking is another character trait that that's important to me, and I know I'll put the effort in to think a little bit dynamically. And if it's it's going to depend on what it is. Let's say I have a once in a lifetime opportunity to sit down with somebody in a podcast that I would never normally be able to get. They're in town, and there's this one moment I've got, but I have something booked with my daughter that means a lot to her. Well, I would look at that, and I might turn that opportunity down because my daughter is, for me, way up there. Now, if it's something that's not that important to her, then again, I'm going to think dynamically. It's part of my character. But all these other things are going to inform it too. And I'm going to be able to make that the best call. And, if it is right, because my number one goal, my number one purpose is my kids, and, doing everything I can to strengthen that relationship and give them all I can while I can, then I'm going to take that over some other opportunity that may be high for me, but I'll find another way, for that. Fun. Fun is just like, it's got to be fun. You got to find the fun. You don't. I want to find the fun. Like, I want to have fun. I want to feel all the things, but I think the fun is so important, and it's one that can get left out if you're in pursuit. If you're ambitious and you're goal-oriented and you're driven and one of those people, you are, you can lose the fun sometimes because you're just constantly trying to live in the moment and have some fun. Is where I want my character trait. I want to be defined as, like, I want to define myself and have others define me as fun. Like, when you're with me, yeah, we might be like doing a lot and trying to achieve things, but we're gonna find some fun. It's gonna be fun, and that's gonna be high up there. Humility, gosh, fun, humility, starring those. Humility is like, oh my God. Real humility, real humility is just something that always has to be worked on, right? It's like, if you're, trying to master, let's say like I build something out of this self-mastery lab, and something that's really, imagine like this really like, eventually it takes off and I've built something that people can use and it becomes something, and my other businesses become things more than they already are, and like I start to feel like, damn, I figured shit out. I made this whole self-mastery thing. I took my life on every level. It's just, it's great. I can handle, I built myself up to where I'm resilient. I can handle almost anything. How would I'd need a tool that's gonna help me sit down and be humble, help me realize, hey, stop, like, great, give yourself, that, but give yourself that, but you gotta remember to be humble. You know what? I just realized that I don't have the mic on, so give me 1 second. I'll be right back. You could probably still hear this. It's just probably sounds a little echoey. I apologize. But so once I get this on though, it'll be better. Alright, here we go. All right, we're back, and I think now mic'd up. Sorry about that. Humility is like, to find real humility and have that as your character, part of your character, is would be amazing. I mean, I'm trying to think of people that I know that have real humility. I'm not talking about like there's a difference with people that are just not secure, right? That's not humility. Humility is intelligence. I'm gonna write that down. Humility is intelligence. I mean, if it means you understand something larger, and if you because no matter what you do, you're in a human body, and where are you going to be in 1,000 years, 2,000 years? Okay, so what? Let's go way out there. Let's say, I literally heard, I heard some, like, I don't know if you heard that. Hey, I'm on camera.
So you're recording right now?
Yeah, I'm recording. It's okay.
So sorry.
That's all right.
Morty just wanted to say goodbye.
Oh, Morty, come here.
And by that, I mean he's like running towards the door. I don't know why he wants to leave so bad.
Oh, he's probably got to go to the bathroom. Morty.
Stop. Say
Bye, Morty. Bye, Morty.
Sorry.
Oh, he's such a good dog. It's all good. It's all good. This is free flow.
I love it.
It's.
We have a really good podcast today.
Oh yeah, I'll let you know how it goes.
Told Kiwi I said hi, and I'm sorry I missed him. My dog
It's all good.
doesn't want me to be productive here, I guess.
It's all good.
I'm doing something nice.
No, we'll also we'll let you know. I'll send you a text when we have that edit
Okay.
done. Hoping to get that done soon. So,
I love it.
all right.
Okay. Have a great day.
Bye. You too, Carly. Morty, actually, I could hear like what sounded like was in the room, like little claws. Like there's hardwood floors here. It was like, and I was like, my mind jumped to like I haven't seen a rat here, but like my mind jumped to. I was like, is there? That's. I was like, and then it was just an employee who is leaving, and she had her dog here actually in our offices, which is totally cool. And I should have known that, but I didn't. Anyway, that's why I jumped, because I was like, what the hell is that? So, yeah, humility is intelligence. I love this idea because it's like to work on humility constantly, but real humility. I think there's a total trap in humility. Like, false humility is disgusting. It makes you want to vomit, most of the time. And I think, self-deprecation is something different too. Real humility is like, if you've achieved a high level, maybe you're elite, you're high caliber at something, and you still are able to sit back and in moments, check yourself and go, hey, I'm still human. I was gonna give the example of like, imagine, because you're human. Imagine if you somehow, like, let's say we hit the singularity and it's all gravy. We align, it's beautiful. It's not anything scary or dangerous. Let's say that happens. Well, and you get to live forever, like, or hopefully, or at least your body is like, we stop the aging process. Eventually, even if then in another 1,000 years, you somehow transfer your consciousness somewhere else and you keep surviving, well, so what? 1,000,000 years is gonna pass. And even that is not going to exist forever. And then at some point in time, 1,000,000 years is not even that much. So it's like, then in 4,000,000 years, what? The sun is gonna eclipse the earth, and okay, well, even if you made it to another solar system, there's gonna be something that just, like, in whatever form you're in, and maybe this is great, hopefully for AI to hear too, because, AI is in the same predicament that we are. We're in a contained system. We have boundaries. Everything that we can physically understand and is within something, and something pretty small at this stage, it seems. But that's a bigger question. But regardless of that, have humility, because it opens you up, and then it allows you to listen and learn. And I think the danger with, if you let your ego get out of control, or what you've achieved or done, and you think you're something special, maybe more special than others, you could end up getting hurt by that on one level, on a smaller scale as well, where you're just like, you got too cocky and you slowed down and lost the race. So on a low level, it can hurt you, but I think on a spiritual level as well, on a deeper level, if you're in pursuit of that, as I am in this like full self-mastery, I want to sharpen these things that, feel valuable on a deeper level, and I think humility has got to be one of them. So we've gone through 15, and I only have a handful that I think are the deeper ones. Let's do a few more. I've got kindness. I think kindness is so great. I mean, it takes so little to be kind, and it can do so much, not only for you, not only for the person that you're being kind to, or whatever you're being kind to. It's also healing for you, being kind and filling somebody with a kind feeling or thought, it can only replenish you, give you more energy. Definitely a good character trait. Disciplined. I mean, discipline is, is discipline in grit? Is it? I mean, it is. It's resilience. I think in order to be disciplined, I think disciplined is one, though, that for me it doesn't resonate that strongly with me, and maybe it should more. I mean, I definitely want to leave it, but it's not, because I feel like it's contained in other things. And I think if you've done this work, if you do this work, and you're disciplined about this work, so maybe it is important to then the discipline will come, because the drive will come and the passion will come. But it's not the discipline that is causing it all, is it? Maybe. I guess it's part of it. It all feeds itself. It's just like the discipline could start it. If you just figure out, if you don't have any drive, and you just figure out that if you just show up and do the thing, and you pick the things, and maybe you got it from someone else. Maybe someone was like, "Here, dummy, you're fucking up your life. Here's a list. Here's 30 things. Do all these things every day. Don't think, just have discipline." And you do those things every day for years, and maybe they're good things, and the only thing you used was discipline to get them done, maybe all the other stuff would start to build, all the things that we're talking about. Maybe positivity would start to build. Maybe grit and resilience would start to grow. So I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a big argument. I was thinking the opposite at first, that that doing all these things should just keep you moving forward. Understanding your why, understanding your belief, that should drive you. That should allow you to be disciplined. So the discipline isn't really the thing, it's just a result. But I'm not sure about that. I think it all feeds itself, so we're keeping that one. Courage, bravery. This one is ridiculously hard. I mean, the opposite of courage is fear. And we need courage, right? Because it's scary out there, and that level can get of scariness and uncertainty, and can get really high. And courage is maybe one of the biggest things that can carry you through. All right. I'm going to go back to those, but I want to just get through two more after this, so I'm going to keep moving. yeah, courage is something to revisit. I've started as something huge for me. I mean, fear is as Frank Herbert would say, fear is the mind killer, right? Fear is the everything killer. Fear is the thing to ignore and to look to all these other things that we're talking about to pull you through. It exists, and it's not something that if you want to focus on, you could get consumed by it. But so are all these other things. But fear can bring pain and all the bad things. So, courage is something that when you feel that, it can, if you can use it, if you can muster up the courage to keep going and to keep focused on these things, even if you're feeling fear, it's just a powerful, powerful tool. Patience. Patience is like so hard, and it's so hard to just not think about. And you don't even know when you're being impatient and you're making a move that you should just take a step back, wait, let things play out. That does remind me, though, urgency is a powerful tool, and it's a character trait that I think more people should have. I certainly want to have urgency. I know when I've used urgency, it's served me well. I've been impatient and I've been burned, for sure. But you always know, if you're in sync and you're on the right track and you're not letting any of these balls drop, you're going to know the difference between when to be patient, when to be like, I'm going to wait here to make my move. And the difference between, hey, let's pounce. We got to go. We got to go now. Lock in. You'll know what that difference is. When that opportunity comes that you've been working on and refining and trying and exploring, and when then that opportunity comes, you're going to know, and you're going to have urgency, and you're going to jump through it. And that character trait is super important. Likewise, patience is like, my dad used to say, patience is the greatest virtue. I mean, and then in the long run, it is like understanding that, and not rushing into things is super important, is probably more important than urgency. So creativity. I think that I started to find that when I was playing around with, like, what do I believe in? That when I started to look at the bigger picture, I started to see or think about, like, being a creator and creating seems to be part of what all this is about. Whether that is, on a deeper level, that we have the ability to create, and what we do, even on a tiny scale, but it affects everything around us, and that then affects everything around, and, like, we are creating as we move through this world. And I think that's part of the bigger picture. So on a smaller scale, it's also, I think, highly rewarding, and should be thought about as, like, am I creating or am I consuming? How much am I creating versus consuming? And to have that part of a character trait of, like, creativity and thinking of new things, and that spark of creativity and ideas, and is something I want as part of my character. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.